Hi everyone, Dr. Mark Ettensohn here, specialist in the treatment of pathological narcissism and related issues. This is just a quick video to clear up some confusion out there with respect to terminology. I see a lot of people misusing the term overt and covert when it comes to narcissism and NPD. People tend to use the word covert to describe vulnerable narcissistic presentations, and they tend to use the word overt to describe grandiose presentations. But these terms actually don't mean the same thing. All narcissistic individuals have both overt and covert traits. Overt simply means that it's readily apparent and observable, it's on the surface, obvious to everyone. Covert means that it's under the surface, it's hidden, it's implicit, maybe unconscious, it's not obvious to everyone, maybe not even the person themselves. Also, all narcissistic individuals have both vulnerable and grandiose traits. I made this grid to help clarify the issue. Here we have the x-axis representing the continuum of vulnerable to grandiose presentations, and the y-axis represents the continuum of overt to covert presentations. And as you can see, an individual can be both overt and vulnerable, or they can be both covert and grandiose. And typically, they are inversely proportional. That means that overt vulnerability is driven by covert grandiosity and vice versa. So I'll give you an example to help explain. Let's say that an individual with NPD is depressed because they feel they sort of didn't perform well enough at a party the night before. Maybe they feel that nobody likes them, they didn't make a positive enough impression, they were essentially ignored. And this is a common feeling amongst narcissistic individuals, by the way. They present in an overt manner with distress and upset. They're feeling depression and anxiety. They're experiencing some degree of fragmentation and overwhelm. These are the obvious symptoms. They're the ones that they're talking about. In this case, the narcissistic presentation is overtly vulnerable, meaning that their vulnerable symptoms are obvious and apparent. But what's actually driving the breakdown? The answer is covert grandiosity. The individual expects that they should be the center of attention at the party. They have unconscious, entitled expectations about how other people should react to them and make them feel. Underlying perfectionism, vanity, and grandiosity is fueling the feeling that nobody likes them because not enough people made them feel special, wanted, seen, or admired. So we would locate this person here on the chart because they're displaying overt vulnerability. But remember, the overt vulnerability is driven by covert grandiosity. They're inversely proportional. Now, what about somebody who's presenting with overt or obvious grandiosity? The associated covert vulnerability becomes apparent when we remember that overt grandiosity, like arrogance, devaluation, and entitlement, is actually defensive. The narcissistic individual adopts these postures in order to compensate for underlying feelings of emptiness, worthlessness, and shame. Remember, the covert features are always driving the overt features. Covert grandiosity drives overt vulnerability. Covert vulnerability drives overt grandiosity. Always look for the side of the equation that isn't being directly expressed. Okay, so that's it for today. Hopefully this will be helpful in clearing up some of the confusion out there about terminology. Feel free to give this video a like if you found it helpful. Until next time, take good care.